Hello and welcome to My Mom's Basement, presented by Barstool Sports, and a very special X-Men and Invincible edition of My Mom's Basement, and the third episode of My Mom's Basement this week. But the first with my co-host Clem, the first where we're talking nerdy stuff. Clem, how we feeling?
Feeling good, Bob. I'm feeling very good. But there's really no way I could have had a good enough week to feel better than you do right now after what had to be the pinnacle of your life, maybe? I mean, usually it's like I can't say stuff like best day of my life unless I'm saying my marriage or the birth of my kids. Rob Fox still has like a clean enough slate, other than, maybe meeting Lady Fox or something with the family. What a fucking weekend my boy had down in Philadelphia.
What a weekend. We said on last week's show, I teased this video game tournament that me and Brandon were going to be a part of, the 2K24 Showcase Showdown. It was kind of like a pro-am because they paired us all up with wrestlers. I was paired up with Kofi Kingston, one of my all-time favorites. And we joked at the end, you were like, bring the title home for the basement. I was like, I don't know, I'll try. Like, I was not confident going in, truly. I brought the fucking title home for the basement. I won the whole tournament. Me and Kofi won as a tag team. And then in classic WWE fashion, there was a swerve. They said, but there can only be one true champion. And I kind of went into business for myself, turned heel on my tag team partner, Kofi. I got a fast count to win the title from this guy, Greg Miller, who was the special guest referee. He was screwed by Kofi in a previous challenge. So it was very much like wrestling, all weaving into one big storyline here. And yeah, afterwards they said, Kofi, like, can we ask you what went wrong? You guys were such a good tag team. We thought you guys were destined for greatness together. And I grabbed the mic. I said, I'll tell you what went wrong here. Every tag team has a Marty Jannetty. And they love that line, Everyone's got a Sean, everyone's got a Marty. And then, yeah, WrestleMania was as much fun as I've ever had at WrestleMania, the ending of night 2 especially. Everyone's seen the clip by now. You got John Cena, you got The Rock, you got The Undertaker, you got Seth Rollins in Shield gear. People are comparing it to Star Wars. People are comparing it to Avengers Endgame. It was everything that I wanted it to be and more. And then it was Cody Rhodes, like a friend of the basement, winning in the main event. It was perfect, honestly. Thank you, 2K, for bringing us out.
I didn't realize we were talking, Infinity War Endgame comparisons and Star Wars.
Oh,
Those
big
are
time.
some heavy ones. I saw the Return of the Jedi clip you have with Cody that kind of like came back now. I mean, I said, like, you leaving Philly, you and Cody both leaving Philly with title belts is something. I mean, that's the shit dreams aren't even made of because it's so like ridiculous that you would both do that. So that's awesome, dude. That's the basement boys haven't had a lot of sports success, but you had an all-time sports entertainment success night, so that was awesome. And I do feel like, so I'm not plugged in at all, but it sounds like WWE fans couldn't be happier right now. And I saw there was something with AEW where they leaked like a CM Punk backstage fight, and now everyone hates AEW. So I feel like Triple H is now in charge, Vince is gone, and WWE seems to be like skyrocketing, and AEW seems to be crashing and burning.
It seems like the tide has turned, or the tide is turning. I don't know what they were thinking airing that footage. It was like CM Punk, he got into 2 big fights at AEW backstage, legitimate fights that eventually sent him out of the company. The second of which was in late August with Jungle Boy, who is Luke Perry's son in real life, Luke Perry's son. He got into a fight backstage with him, and they aired the footage on Wednesday. And I don't know what they thought would come out of that because, yeah, the reaction to them airing it was horrible. Everyone was like, why did you do that? That just it was a bad look for everyone involved. So, yeah, it was strange. But I'm not anti-AEW. I'm still riding for both. I think tribalism in wrestling a little silly. I get it. I'm a fan of so many things that I have tribalism about. So I understand it. But I'm a wrestling fan where I'm like, I think they got great wrestling. I think WWE's got great wrestling. And I think the better AEW gets, the better WWE gets, and vice versa. It's the rising tide lifts all ships. Is that the phrase? It's that.
I mean, I lived it, man. I lived it in the late 90s when it was WCW, WWF, and ECW. They come into the picture, and it made everyone try hard. It was incredible. Got more eyeballs on, more money, and more people just, they're willing to take chances and do whatever. It was fucking awesome. So sounds like a little bit of the same here. I will say that leak, that's like, I don't know if it's not a 1-to-1, but when Tony Schiavone or whatever, when he announced the Mankind won the belt like it seems like they tried to go one way and it just blew up in their face. It's the same kind of vibes I'm getting strictly through tweets right now. So very exciting stuff for the wrestling fans. I hope WWF is on, or WWE is on the rise. I'm still hoping to get AJ into wrestling, and no matter how probably bad it would be for my health and his health, but as
this
of now,
is the era right here. You got Cody Rhodes, guy with short blonde hair, is the champ. AJ could see himself in Cody Rhodes, and he's like the good guy champ. We finally got the Cody era, and it's the Triple H era, as they're calling it, the Paul Levesque era. So
and his
fans are actually happy.
Both their dads, just big, jolly, happy, fat guys, kind of like so. It kind of it goes. I consider myself maybe the Dusty Rhodes of Barstool. I can see that.
I love that. Yeah, the American dream, right there, Clem.
Exactly.
We got two honestly captivating, gripping, emotional cartoons to talk about today. You usually don't go that way with it, but we got two cartoons that I'm like, these were made for adults, and they made me fucking feel something. They pulled on the heartstrings, especially X-Men. We keep calling it every week. We're like, the original X-Men series, kids show that adults enjoyed. X-Men 97, clearly an adult show that kids could enjoy. I don't know if kids could enjoy episode 5. It was fucking sad. Oh my God.
This is an adult show now. Kids, you've lost X-Men 97. Go watch Bluey or whatever else is on this. By the way, for the olds out there, the parents, this last Bluey episode was there's a very big moment in it that occurs that's going to impact the Bluey cinematic universe. I know it sounds ridiculous. It's true. I'm like, shit, I can't believe that. But so Bluey has its own set of drama and you can watch that right now, which is crazy to say. However, X-Men no longer kitchen. We're not even saying like, oh, kids, don't let your kids watch this. It's not going to have the blood and guts that Invincible's going to have, but it's going to have some shit that like you're going to have to explain afterwards, and it's not going to be easy. And this was it, man. This was a doozy, dude.
Dude, I saw the guy who was fired from X-Men, kind of the creator of 97, Bo DeMeo, I think his name is. He kind of broke his silence this week. He was very quiet about the whole series, but this week so many people were tweeting praise for it that he started answering some questions. And he was like, yeah, I considered the first the first 4 episodes to be pre 9/11 and the rest of them to be like a post 9/11 type world for the X-Men. That was like, whoa. And he said, I had the Pulse nightclub shooting on my mind the whole episode. And it's like, holy fuck, this guy literally was like, let's do like almost like a terrorist attack on the X-Men and play it through that lens of you get real life cues from it. And it makes you feel a little uneasy, even though it's this ridiculous over the top superhero cartoon from the 90s. It's like, oh, this is a little too real right now. Did you feel that way?
Yeah, there was a point where I was like, all right. Like, remember we were saying, oh, people are going to be pissed when they realize the X-Men, they're, the more real superheroes, that it's like, oh, it's all about, persecution because you're different, this and that. We were like, all right, we're cool with that. And then it's like, oh, no, we're going to show you, like, the worst of humanity has to offer. And there is time where you just want to escape from it. But, I mean, hey, we're buckled in. We're riding with it. And, I mean, it's one of the best things on TV right now for what I'm watching.
Yeah.
So it's like we're just gonna have to roll with the punches here, for lack of a better term. And I honestly don't know what's coming next. I have to say I did get spoiled a little bit, and obviously spoilers for people that haven't watched yet. I did see like someone was like, Gambit is the #1 trending topic, and I go, that's probably not a good thing.
Probably bad, yeah. But maybe your mind went to like no dishes, nothing. Gambit, as we mentioned last week, you're like, yeah, man, Gambit went out. Yeah, he couldn't deal with that relationship, but
he found a rogue-proof condom. My guy Gambit found a rogue-proof condom. Nope, that was not the case. Actually, kind of did. He got to touch her, and nothing happened to him.
I guess.
I was gonna say it didn't kill him. That technically didn't kill him. The touch did not kill him. So
yeah, that's a technicality that we'll allow. I noticed about Gambit this week something I've never noticed before, or never pieced this together. His voice is very similar to Benoit Blanc from the Knives Out movies. So like there was one moment where he's like, that does seem a little peculiar. And I was like, oh shit, that's Benoit Blanc. Yeah. But yeah, as quickly as I got excited about that and realized it, we lost our sweet boy Gambit. So let's get into the episode, which opens with a news report on the X-Men. They're like, it's a big day, big time for the X-Men, big time for mutants. And they're trying to normalize the X-Men and mutants in general through the news, and then the reporters, telling Cyclops this, we're really trying here to make you normal. But she opens the report with like, some people call them these disgusting fucking freaks. We call them mutants. And it was like, oh man, you know, they're not as PC with the mutants as they should be, because I guess it's 1997. We're gonna have to wait 20 years for people to come around to that, and you probably can't even use the M word in 2024.
That's what I was gonna say. The M word in, what is that now, 30 or so years? I feel like that is a bad thing to say. It wouldn't fly on this podcast. I'll tell you right now.
Yeah.
I would never say a mutant. I would never say it.
And Cyclops quickly kind of fucks this all up for the X-Men, because they're like, all right, this is going to show that you're nice, normal people. And as soon as the reporter's like, so I see that you had a son like a month ago. Tell me about it. He's like, God damn it. We didn't have a son. They didn't deliver my baby. He's like, Cyclops. Come on, dude. You can't be freaking out on television like that, man.
I have to say, it's like, you could say this is a tough episode for the Scott Summers crew, but it actually made him more human than like whatever he was all those times in the movies. He was just straight up kidding. It was a speed bump essentially. People just drive over him, like, that was Cyclops. At least he showed a little bit of panache, I guess, a little bit of spunk.
So while this is happening, a team of the other X-Men are flying over to Genosha to meet with the chair, the council there, and everything. Gambit's told he's the only one that needs the plane by Magneto, which was another, like, right before you take him out, you couldn't even lift him. I mean, they lifted him up a little bit with the sacrifice, but like, the guy can't get a line in. He's like, geez, this fucking sucks. And they're like, just a reminder, if this plane goes down, we're all going to be okay except you.
I didn't like the gravity shaming in this episode. As someone that has gravity challenged himself, I did not like it, because me and Gambit, I'd fall faster than Gambit, but Gambit would fall as well. That wasn't cool. And he knows what he's doing, man. That's the thing I almost respected about Magneto. He's still playing the villain while being like, what I'm about. It's when Portnoy is on your team. Like, Portnoy does this with me, where he'll be like, Frank was right, Clem. I'm just saying, like, I'm rooting for you guys. I want the Mets to be good. I'm like, I know what you're doing, Dave. God damn it. So, I think Magneto and Rogue, that's how Dave looks at Frank. Kind of like has that glimmer when he looks at him.
They get to Genosha. We get some Nightcrawler. I was stoked to see our guy, Kurt Wagner, our guy. I love him. Nightcrawler in the animated series and the movies. He's
video
great
games.
in this,
Throw him in the video games too, Bob. He's elite.
Exactly. The cards. I'll throw the cards in there. One of the best designed
action
X-Men
figures.
characters.
Did you say action figures?
Throw action figures as well. The council wants Magneto to be the Chancellor. He will only accept if Rogue can be his queen. I got some Dune 2 vibes from this, where he was like, we're going to do it for political purposes. It doesn't have to be what, it seems to be. And Jean, meanwhile, is trying to remember Scott. But as quickly as she's trying to remember Scott, she's just making out with Logan. It feels very X-Men movies, the trilogy and the love triangle that we're getting into there. And Logan, to his credit, is like, all right, you forgot Scott. Now you remember him. Enough, bub.
Whoa! My guy Bob had himself a nice little Wolverine there. That was a good Wolverine you had going on.
Wolverine puts it off right away. He's not like trying to take her up on that offer.
Did you see she blushed when she kissed him too?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, Jean's even. Okay, all right. So this is strike 2 for Scott. We're like, all right, he already fucking lost his cool on, camera. Then you got Wolverine. And that's the thing about Wolverine. When he kisses your girl, there's just, you could almost, I bet, like, he kissed Jean. Next time he kissed Jean, he tastes the tobacco. It's exactly what I was going to say. You're like, Wolverine's been here, hasn't he? And that's not cool, man. That's not cool.
You got like a hair in your mouth. You're like, why's that a black hair? You got red hair. What's going on here?
That's the exact size of Wolverine's sideburns right there.
What the fuck? That's weird.
Jean also, what a fucking move, just being like, I'm hiding out underwater right now and just looking at a bunch of bubbles, people in bubbles.
As you do. Yeah.
As people tend to do when they want to hide around.
And then Jean and Scott are talking about Nathan, or so you think. It's actually not Jean. He's talking to Madeline Pryor, and Jean sees it happen. And she's like, oh, Madeline, nice to see you here. Talking to fucking Scott. That was their thing, talking through telepathy, and she's not happy about it. And then as soon as she's like going off about it, she gets hit with this like psychic energy bullet to the brain type thing. It doesn't kill her, but for a second I was like, did that kid? It looked like she got shot in the head, but it was with just like, bad future omens or whatever you want to call it. Something bad is about to happen in the future.
All right. So this is strike 3 for Cyclops, and I'm hitting him with the soundbite.
Oh, what an idiot. What a fucking idiot.
What are you doing? Mind cheating on Jean Grey. And listen, I know you have a very deep connection to this woman. You had a child together. You don't even know which one was Jean and which memories are with Madeline Pryor. But like, it's like having the mom that like knows how to like scroll your phone, or like, it's like my kids, they're like, they think they're smart and they're like, Sienna, were you just on YouTube? No, I wasn't. And she doesn't know, I just go to history and I could just see.
Yeah.
Like, you got Jean motherfucking Grey. The chick is hiding underwater in a lake for just fun. She's just doing it. What are you doing, bro? I understand, like, it's tough, but you almost have to go like offline to cheat on Jean. You have to go.
Yeah.
You have to go
in airplane mode.
Yeah. Magneto helmet on. You have to get a Magneto.
Yes.
It's in the mansion. The Magneto helmet. He put it on the shelf for you, Scott. Which I feel like.
Yeah, he's like, can I borrow that? Can I just wear it? It looks cool. I think it looks. I want to see if it fits. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, Gene, don't worry. We're just gonna try. We're gonna put a visor on this thing and just throw the helmet on. And instead, he's just fucking mind cheating. You'd almost be better off like physically cheating with Madeline Pryor and just hope like she doesn't catch whatever crazy sick thoughts you have going on in your head as you're doing whatever you're doing, smooching or whatever. So just an absolute tough look for our guy, Scott Summers. I'm going to say this, though. I think his stock is as low as it's going to be for the rest of the season. I think we're going to build him back up because he's getting punked in different manners other than obviously the Wolverine kiss, which like at least Wolverine was like, no, what are we doing here? Like, that felt, if he was like, fuck that little red-eyed fucker, and he just started just laying smooches down. So, just an all-around fucked up episode for.
And Scott, like, on both sides, he's between a rock and a hard place. Like, if he pisses one off, she's turning into the fucking Dark Phoenix. If he pisses the other off, she's turning into the fucking Goblin Queen. Like, be careful, dude, with the two people you're playing here. You're playing both sides of the fence. You should not be. Pick one and stick to that. Probably should be Jean Grey, too, because it seemed like, I know that he had the baby with Madeline, but she seems okay in Genosha. She's like, yeah, they set me up with like a good life in Genosha. I'm ready to just make something out of this.
That was a pleasant surprise, too. I did not see that coming. It feels a little rushed that you would just be like, oh, this woman who almost destroyed the X mansion, which granted, like, was a Mr. Sinister thing, but still, like,
we needed an X-Men. She's kind of an X-Men.
It's like when, me and Robbie are getting sent to the high noon events instead of like the Barstool A squad. It's like, we got Barstool people here.
It's Barstool, yeah.
How much does Big Cat make?
Yeah, and you're like, a lot more than me, I think. Probably.
Rogue also, Scott having those two women in his life is the funniest thing ever because you couldn't get a more white bread vanilla fucking X-Man. Like Scott is the stuff the Goblin Queen does in the bedroom and the Dark Phoenix. He ain't built for that fucking life.
No,
Wolverine could deal with it literally and figuratively. Like he'd have the health regenerative. Gambit is probably like crazier woman than that somehow because he's down in Louisiana. Who else do we have in terms of men X-Men? Which
Morph? Do you think Morph is like fucking turning into other people?
Oh yeah, Morph is Morph would probably be like the number one draft pick if you wanted to have sex with an X-Man because he can be whoever you want.
Whoever you want, yeah. What if Morph and Mystique had sex together?
That would be awesome. And then they would turn into each other.
Morph would look like a multiverse fight. Yeah, like just crazy. We'll get into that with Invincible,
yeah, exactly. So I feel like poor Cyclops, like he has like something that some men would literally die for and probably die as they were doing it. But he ain't ready for that, man. It's remember the guy who wrote the like 27 tweet thread to Del Curry when he divorced Sony. He's like, you ain't ready for this life, man. Like you don't want to date in the 2020s. Like it's different out here now.
And then you get Rogue and Gambit talking about the whole Magneto relationship, love triangle, emotional. Very soapy, like so over the top soap opera. Yeah. And it was a good scene, but another one where I was like, I don't know if kids would enjoy this. Like, I'm enjoying it, but I don't know if I would like show this to my nephew or something and be like, wasn't that a great scene? He'd be like, I don't know. It was kind of, they were talking about their relationship, but again, just Gambit taking L's. It's like I guess we can be friends, mon ami.
I have to go back and watch that. I like the Gambit impersonation as well, Bob. Not as good as your Wolverine, but I still like it. Also, I think he said Cherie in the first season, and now he's saying Cher, but I could be wrong. I have to rewatch the 90s ones in general, though, because I wonder if it felt this much like a soap opera, because these are feeling like beat for beat that they are soap operas. Now that I said, I watched a few with my wife way back when we first started dating, and I'm like, holy shit, this is straight out. And then the you're getting the whole news feed where it's like you're getting extra soap opera stuff with Gene and Scott, which, by the way, do you feel like a mutant reality show is on the table? I feel like that's coming.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like we're getting a mutant reality
like the
show.
Real World in the X Mansion.
Yes, that's exactly what I thought, because that's around the time when like the Real World started and kind of like defined the genre. So
that's a good point. Survivor on Genosha.
Survivor on Genosha. Now, is this the part where we kind of go back to the flashback of Rogue and Magneto?
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, I don't want it to be gross here. I know it's a cartoon. It's not a kid's cartoon, so I'm allowed to say it. When Rogue is dressed in like the Savage Island or whatever the fuck clothes, you could smell the sex in the air. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. And I can't let my kids watch that, because they're gonna be like, Dad, it's kind of like Nala with the eyes. It's like, what is she looking at him like that? And I'm like, you could smell it in the air. And it's a weird, it's like the sugar daddy kind of like old man, young girl kind of vibes to it. And it's a lot. It's a lot. I know Large is gonna love it though, whenever he watches it.
And then we get the gala to end the episode. So it opens with like Rogue and Magneto, this over the top long dance. Could have been a little shorter.
Okay, yes. It was a lot. It was a lot. I didn't
long dance. Like it was getting to the point where I was like, all right, somebody say something. Give me some dialogue.
In True Lies, when he's dancing with Tia Carrera, and I was like, what are we doing here? And that's much different. That's a fucking Cameron movie. It felt a little much for the but I guess they're just
25-minute episode. This was a 1% of the runtime was just this dance scene.
I think they're just really, really trying to get your head out of like X-Men value. You're like, oh, like you're just trying to lose yourself in it, basically, because they know what they're about to do to you. This was my note that I had earlier in the episode, though, that obviously I forgot by the end of it. Genosha ruled. I was like, fuck, I want to go to vacation.
Oh, yeah. It looked like Genosha. Disney or something. Yeah, like a mix between like Wakanda and Disneyland.
It's Pleasure Island if there was mutants. That's what I was thinking of. Or like a really cool Caribbean island, all-inclusive resort that just fucking was awesome. I'm like, this place seems great. And obviously not so great.
Yeah, it's like people would probably want to go there, like you're saying, on vacation. And I know the world in this cartoon is anti-mutant, but if they just saw footage of Genosha, I think they'd be like, oh shit, I want to try that dessert that you just, made out of nowhere. You just made it appear, like that fucking muffin in The Force Awakens. You get them
on the dance floor too. Come on.
Yep.
Can you guys
I was just about to say smooching, and what was weird is you hear like the kiss sound effects as the cartoons are kissing, and I was like, I don't want to hear that. That was a little too much for me.
I took me back to college when like my buddies would like they get really drunk and then get smooch on the dance floor, and then the next morning it's like, dude, on the dance floor last night it got. And listen, me and Mrs. Clem had a few smooches on the dance floor back in the day as well. I am no
it's like hearing your parents.
I'm guilty as well.
Madeline Pryor then gets hit with that kind of like psychic blast, bullet to the brain type thing, and she's outside too, and she hears, you see it in the closed captions if you have closed captions on as well, Cable say like, turn the music off, get out of there. She sees Cable, she notices his eyes. They were talking about the blue eyes of Nathan before, or the brown eyes. She sees the brown eyes and it's like, your eyes. And he's like, I'm sorry, Mom. And he fades away. He can't stop it in time, but he looks over his shoulder. He sees the like green bomb bursts happening. Like something is about to go down. Some people have even tweeted a screenshot. Did you see the Watcher in the sky during this?
So I did not see it live, but then I saw
Me
the
neither.
tweets and I go, this fucking show, yet again, I'm going to say it, put in more effort than 90% of the MCU post Endgame. It's crazy, that kind of shit. Yeah. And that's how you know it's a big moment. When the Watcher's watching.
Watchers, oh, yeah, exactly. The biggest moments in the whole Marvel universe, all the multiverses, he's there for. And when he's there for this, it's like, uh-oh. Unfortunately, the gala gets bombed. Or I don't even know if you should say bombed, but like the Sentinels come and destroy shit. And it's not just normal Sentinels. There are normal Sentinels, but it's this massive like bug Sentinel. They call it like a Godzilla Sentinel. It's got a weird belly. It's shooting out Sentinels. Immediately Nightcrawler gets hit. I thought they were going to take Nightcrawler out of our lives like that. I thought they were going to bring him in and take him out. That made me very nervous, but then we got like, he's alive. I think Gambit checks the pulse or something. Magneto's covering up some of the is the Morlocks? Is that what they are?
Leech is like the little green guy.
So him and Leech get hit. He's like, don't be afraid. They get hit, and then it's like Omega level threat, not detected or whatever. And it's like, oh, where did they go? Obviously, we don't think Magneto's dead, but this sends Rogue into a fury. She tries to go after the thing that's basically indestructible. If Magneto couldn't kill it with a fucking subway whip, then she can't. But then Gambit is the guy who steps in front of her, and he's the one who takes the sacrifice. He gets stabbed. He charges it up really badass. He says, my name's Gambit, like, remember it. Fucking big explosion. And then in a very, very, very Infinity War scene, Rogue is holding Gambit at the end, his body. She says, I can't feel him, or I can't feel you. That felt very Wanda and Vision at the end. Like, I can't feel him anymore. But so sad. And last week we were like, yeah, pretty good episode. Made us feel fun, nostalgic. Video games are awesome. And this week it's like, man, humanity's not great, huh?
we just had our like X-Men 9/11 basically is what the trailers tell us, right? Like, what the fuck, man? Really
just devastating. And we just saw right before we went live, we saw the mid-season trailer. Captain America's coming in. Captain America's shield is in the mid-season trailer. What the fuck is going on?
I love how the shield just plays. It reminds me when Spider-Man came and got the shield, and it was like, holy shit, Spidey's coming, during Civil War. So it had the same kind of vibes where it's this whole new, the animation wing coming back, and that got the feelings going. They had to throw the Motendo episode. Now I know why they did kind of the double episode. You can't be like, all right, next episode, Jubilee is in a video game with Sunspot. Cannot do that. Also, note to self, I like to watch the X-Men in the morning before the day really gets started, kind of bring my mood up, and then we're ready for the pod whenever. Can't do that anymore, apparently. It's an adult show, and there's going to be some adult fucked up shit in our sweet boy Gambit.
Well, Clem, can you watch this before bed? You watch this before bed?
Can't do
you
that
might be having fucking nightmares again. Yeah.
I have to watch it at a very distinct time, after breakfast, but before sleep, probably before lunch even. It's just completely fucked. But our boy Gambit gets to throw. He just emptied the clip of all his Gambitisms. He's like, got me on the river there, and hit you like an ace on a fucking game of blackjack. And he just throwing all his casino lingo out. I loved it. I was so happy he had his moment. I don't love how it all ended, but that I can't feel you, and just kind of bringing it back with Wanda. It's like, fuck, man. They got us good. And the worst part is, Bob, I didn't even see it coming.
No, I didn't see it coming either. But you have to think with Cable involved, there will be time travel involved. Will the rest of the season be focused on, let's make sure this gala doesn't get bombed? Will they go back in time and try to prevent this from happening?
Breaking news on My Mom's Basement. Thursday, April 11th, 12:39 p.m. Eastern time. Breaking. Gambit's coming back alive. He's alive. Gambit, he's never been more alive. He's the most alive person in the MC right now is Gambit. There's going to be
great news.
Multiple Gambits by the end of this.
Toss him in that Dr. Sinister baby juice, and he'll be all right.
If I was a betting man, I'd say over under how many Gambits will we see the rest of the year? Over 1.5 Gambits. I'm telling you, we're going to see extra Gambits. I don't know how it's going to happen. He's going to be just fine, folks. I promise you.
I think he'll be okay.
Because everyone.
Because he's got to wind up with Rogue. That's the love story there. By the way, I know I just said Dr. Sinister again. I can't stop myself from saying Dr. Sinister. I don't know why. I said it once, and now it's like half my brain says Dr. Sinister every time.
It's fine. It's kind of weird. I was thinking the other day, because they're like, oh, Dr. Nathaniel Essex. But then he's like, he dropped the doctor to become Mr. Sinister. It's like, no, I didn't go to fucking evil med school for 8 years.
Med school's like, we can't sign off on what you're doing now. You got to drop the PhD.
That's what made him evil. He's like, well, then I'm really going to be mean, and I'm going to take his baby and throw him in fucking toxic goop. I'm with you, Bob. I've thought Dr. Sinister a few times. And I still don't understand why he is not called Dr. Sinister. It doesn't sound, do you think, is Mr. Sinister more badass or is Dr. Sinister?
I don't know. Like Mr. Sinister's his name, so it's more like iconic in my mind. But Dr. Sinister sounds fucking sweet to me.
Yeah, I feel like it might be, and I don't know what this universe. Maybe Doctor Doom was
I was
making his
just thinking that. Just
bones,
Doom, like,
and
man,
he's
I
like, I
got
don't want
that.
to have two doctors. It would be a good tag team, like the evil doctors, and
The
it's him and
doctors,
Doom.
yeah.
Because I mean, think about Doctor Doom. It's like kind of almost a synonym for Doctor Sinister, right? So you have to just
Yeah.
be
Oh shit, it is. Yeah. It
right.
literally
So
translates to, as PFD would
Dr.
say.
Bad, as we said, bad,
Yeah.
Mr. Bad. So he had to drop, which again is only going to fuel him to be more angry because he's like, I was born first. He's older than Dr. Doom, but he got put on first. It's a tough look for Mr. Sinister, nonetheless.
A great episode of X-Men, though. We got a great finale for Invincible season 2 as well. But, and this is not to put it down, I enjoyed X-Men this week a lot more, just based on how much I didn't see it coming, how much I wasn't prepared for this to feel like a finale level episode in terms of the events and everything. But we will get into Invincible season 2, the finale, right after we tell you about Game Time, our friends at Game Time, the official ticketing partner of Barstool Sports. I just pulled up Game Time right now. Tomorrow's Knicks game, which is when this comes out, April 12th. You could go see Nets at Knicks for $136. You could get into the world's most famous arena and go see that game. And the Knicks are heating up right now. It's a good Knicks team. Is that right, Clem?
My favorite Knicks team since the 90s, Robbie, which I mean, granted, didn't stand a
Wow.
ton considering how bad the 2000s were, but I mean, that's
But Jeremy Lin, we had him, like that says a
insanity
lot.
years.
We had Lin.
There was
Melo.
that one really fun Mellow year where they made it to the second round. And there was a couple of hits. I mean, by far my most favorite Knicks team. Jalen Brunson is already number 3 on my all-time Knicks. He's been here not even 2 full seasons. He's already my third favorite Knick behind Oakley and then Ewing. And this is the thing about Ewing. I loved him, but like he always just let you down. He would guarantee wins and then lose. It was the anti-Messier. So that's what always hurt. So going there, the games still matter because they're still jockeying for playoff position with like 7 other teams. It's a crazy East this year. So I mean, it's the perfect way. Get in, watch the Knicks beat the hell out of the Nets. You don't have to worry about Nets fans coming because they don't exist in their own building, let alone in our building.
Where does Jeremy Lin rank on your all-time Knicks?
It's
top
like
25?
It's like it was a magical run, but
for 2 weeks.
You know what? I'm gonna put him 25. I'll put him 25.
Okay. I appreciate that. He's my number 1. My all-time favorite Knick.
This is I like that we have Bob. We got the Bob Fox Knicks rankings number 1. We now know your number 1 Knicks. That run happened when the Giants beat the Patriots for the second Super Bowl against them. That was like the zenith of my sports, fan career. I haven't had a lot of highs. That was the highest of the highs. So that was a wild run.
Well, there you go. You could become the next biggest Knicks fan in the basement by going to see them with Game Time. Game Time's got flash deals for sudden discounts, zone deals for when you're feeling flexible, and their lowest price guarantee means you can find the same seats for less anywhere else. Game Time will, if you can find the same seats for less anywhere else, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Game Time is the best place for last minute seats with up to 60% off on your favorite events. I'm using Game Time tonight. It's a big night for me, Clem.
Oh, it's a big one.
The first time I'm ever going to see Liam Gallagher live, the singer of Oasis. He's doing no Oasis songs, which is, it takes a little bit away from it, a little bit of a bummer. He put out this new album with John Squire. They're just playing that album, and then they're going to play a Rolling Stones cover at the end. It'll be the shortest concert I ever see. It's like a 45-minute set. I don't even care. I said I would pay top dollar to see Liam Gallagher sing the ABCs, but I don't have to pay top dollar because I went to Game Time and got some cheap tickets. It's also at the Brooklyn Paramount, new venue. It's fun seeing new venues. Game Time will make that easy. They take the guesswork out of buying tickets. If you download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code MMBEEF, you'll get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
I just happened to see that Oasis tweet on the April 11th, 1994 debut of the single Supersonic was released. So it's fucking 30 years, man. That's a fucking trip.
Crazy. I'd love for him to at least give us Supersonic tonight, but I don't think he's gonna. He's a stubborn dude.
No, not him.
Yeah.
The financier.
Let's get into Invincible season 2, episode 8. It's the finale of this season. It feels weird that it's the finale because of the mid-season break. We complained about that when they did it. it made me like feel worse about this because I was like, oh, but it just came back. What do you mean it's the finale? Like we just got it back in our lives. So it was a good episode overall. I thought good, not as good as the season 1 finale, but how are you going to outdo the Omni-Man Invincible fight, I guess? And it left a little more to be desired than the season 1 finale, right? Like we didn't get much of a conclusion with Omni-Man.
So I didn't realize this was a finale as I was watching it. And I think that's probably because obviously every week it'll come out, but the like halftime of the series, and then it just never had that like oomph to it, like finality. Like this is the thing. Who's the guy, the dude, the big brain. What's his
Angstrom Levy?
Yeah. That dude was awesome when he like came in and you seem like, oh shit, and he's going between dimensions. And then we just kind of like forgot about him, and then he came back at the end. I don't know, man. I was expecting more. I wanted more. I think if they had done it, I don't know how much they're going off of the comic books and whatever. I
think very closely they're following. Yeah, a lot of the lines from this episode were word for word.
So if you're going off the comic books, it is what it is. It didn't feel, as someone who didn't realize he was watching the season finale, it didn't feel like one to me. I was like, all right, what do we have next week? And then I went online and I saw people being like, oh, that, commenting about the finale, and I was like, oh shit, that was it too. And it did feel more than a regular episode with some of the finality, but it also does go to show how much some of their like middle of the season episodes will have like oh shit moments where characters, you thought were going to be bigger die or whatever. So we've had a lot of like stuff over the last few things, but I do think that like halftime of the season threw us off. I'm also like did 1.5 seasons binging, and then it was like caught up to you guys, and it's like, and we're done, and it's just like what the fuck. So I'm definitely caught some whiplash going and stopping, and now we're waiting. I got to shout out my boy Nick Parisi, Basement Boy, diehard. He was telling me he kind of felt the same way about this, and he said that like it's hard to obviously season 1 the way that goes, how that ends, and even the premiere of it, right? And he said that there is like. He goes, he's hoping season 3 will be a little more. And I said, like, a little better. And I said, it does. How is it in the comics? And he goes, oh, it could be awesome. So we do have some good shit coming our way, potentially.
I think you get into a lot of evil Invincible variants, which we get a little bit of in this. Obviously, they start introducing them. I think going forward, Invincible is going to get a little multiversal, which I know some of us will roll our eyes at because everything's going multiversal right now. But if they follow the comics, I know Robbie Goochman here at Barstool reads them too and loves them. I do still have faith in them. I'm not leaving season 2 down on the show. I'm leaving season 2 down on the format of the show. The 4 episodes put a screeching halt in the momentum of season 2. That was a horrible idea, but let's get into it. Opens with Omni-Man fighting the Viltrumite mech suit guys, and he's like, really, it looks like he's like breaking out of jail, and then you realize it's like just a test. They're like, oh, cool, you're up to full strength. You could stand trial now. That Craig guy who is, I think it's Clancy Brown, the Mr. Krabs.
Oh, that so many of the guys on the show. I'm like, oh shit, they got this guy doing that. They got this guy.
Even Angstrom Levy, Sterling K. Brown, who's like a fucking, top of the top in terms of like echelon of actors. So it's crazy. Every single person.
My sweet Chloe Bennett is in this. I didn't realize it.
Oh, who is she?
She's one of the girls that like sneaks into the thing, when they like prop up the door or whatever and go in.
Yeah.
And they said it was like kind of a minor role for something when they announced her. People were so excited. Obviously, she has the Shield background. I loved her in Dave, so I was like, oh man, we got Chloe Bennett. And then I didn't even know the entire time.
Funny title card this week with like the runner. He's like, I got to keep it up so I could be. And then it hits you with the Invincible. And a lot of people, heavy spoilers included, made a reference to like the title card. Something fell off of it finally. So now it's blue and black. And that's apparently the second suit that Mark will get. He doesn't have it yet. Or I guess it's kind of the third suit if you consider the makeshift suit he had. But you know what I'm talking about. And this suit is a little more of like a darker Mark. I don't want to say it's Spider-Man with the black suit, but the way people are talking about it sort of feels like it is. So I know people are excited about that as well.
This is the thing with Mark in general. I do wish I maybe just again, I understand I'm old, guys. I just need kind of the reminder of how evil he is in basically every other realm, and I think that would have helped with the season. And again, it cannot be understated. I do think they really fucked up the pacing of it with the halftime. Whether or not, if they weren't already, then delay the season. I think that's the way it is.
Agreed. I think it would have been better just to do like 8 straight episodes because like we were falling on. We recapped episodes that weren't even the same episode because we were all over the place. Like, and listen, maybe that's not Invincible's fault.Maybe I'm looking for someone to blame on that. But
blame the old guy.
It confused us.
Fucking young
it
fucker.
Confused us. Don't confuse us. Just make it easy on the nerds.
Yeah, I do appreciate the weekly releases. I will say that because we can at least catch up every single week when there's an oh fuck moment, which this show will have a bunch of. Which The Boys, is The Boys a dump or is it weekly?
It's 3 episodes up front and then weekly.
Yeah, that's right, because that's what Gen V was, I remember. By the way, RIP to the actor from Gen V who passed away. That guy was awesome.
So sad, yeah.
Absolute bummer. So I'm excited for The Boys because, again, those oh fuck moments do happen like mid-season, which, look at what X-Men's doing. They're doing what these other shows we've been asking them to do. They're doing oh fuck moments in the middle of the season. Who would have thought? I don't want Gambit to die every fucking episode, or beloved child character.
Kenny.
Yeah, exactly.
His last words every time, mon ami.
Mon ami.
And then we pretty much get right into it with this episode. Angstrom has Mark's mom. He's got Debbie. He's threatening to kill her. He's threatening to kill Oliver, the little baby that you called sus. And he monologues for a while. He's pissed that Mark doesn't remember him from episode 1 of this season when it was against the twins and everything like that. A multiversal fight starts pretty much right away, goes into a dino realm, goes into a realm with this Arachna kid who seems a lot like another superhero that we've heard of before. He's got spider abilities, could shoot webs. His villain is someone that looks a little bit like an octopus or a worm. The way they handled that was so funny.
Was great.
I love that. I love the way they handled the little Batman thing in the episode.
Man-Bat. I believe that was Man-Bat, Bob.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I didn't mean to say that. Definitely was not Batman. No way was that Batman. It's the same thing it was in the comics, too. They had like a 1-panel thing where you could see like the gauntlet and the black cape and stuff. The way that they're able to translate those moments from comics to television, pretty impressive. Same thing going back a couple episodes when they went to Comic-Con and they did the whole animation bit.
Yeah.
Like that was a comic bit for comic artists and writers like that. So I love all of that. I even love the Dino realm. Later on, he goes to the Walking Dead realm. When you can actually make the jump through multiversal worlds fun, that's what we love. I think we complained about it a little bit in Multiverse of Madness because it was so quick. They showed us like the paint world and the Dino world and shit, but they didn't spend any time in those worlds. And that's, even if it's just like the time he spent in the Spider-Man world, it's, you get a quick bit out of it. I love that.
That's what makes these like the non-Marvel DC. It's like, that's what makes them standalone, where it's like you can still poke fun. It's ECW, right? It's like ECW poke fun at WWF and WCW back in the day. And that's what makes
it the BWO.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, yeah, guys, we love this shit as much as you, if not more. That's why our careers are like doing comics, is because we all love this shit. It's like, that's the kind of stuff that should be celebrated. So that part was like a really fun part of this episode. That's the thing. Like when there's like the post, like when this episode's over, you think of the stuff that you're like, oh shit, that was the end of the season. You forget about some of the real fun stuff. Yeah. The dinosaurs like talking and shit. And you're like, what the hell's going on?
It's like Planet of the Apes, but dinosaurs.
Yes.
Levy yells at Debbie for saying it's going to be okay, because that's like what he was saying. He's like, how do you know it's going to be okay? You don't know it's going to be okay. They do, the flashbacks and whatnot. The fight continues. He can't separate Mark from bad Mark. So even though this Mark is good Mark, he's so crazy about his life and his trauma and his heartbreak that he can't separate those two. One of the Mark variants even killed his son right in front of him. So I could see how that could, cause you to hold a grudge.
It's a real mind fuck when you just like sit back and you think about it. You're like, but this Mark is good. He's like, yeah, but like infinity other Marks are the worst, most dangerous, terrible thing that's ever happened to Earth. And it does kind of like, I see where he's coming from. That's why I wish I had more of this character, because I really did enjoy it.
Yeah, he was good. He was really good.
It makes sense because I fucking love the actor too. I saw, what was the movie I saw with him in the other day? It was up for Academy Award. It's about
This
the
year?
author. Yeah. It's
Oh,
about
American Fiction. Good
yes.
movie.
Great movie.
I like that
man.
movie.
I really enjoyed it. Yeah, yeah. So,
really funny movie.
Yeah.
Debbie puts up a fight, but unfortunately gets her arm snapped right in half. And this was another one where you're like, all right, this guy's a fucking bad motherfucker. He's snapping Mark's mom's arm in half.
You can't be doing that to the moms and the fucking black eyes running the family. They get the same black eyes.
I know the same exact thing. Yeah, on they had matching black eyes. And Mark is lost for a while because he's being sent through these multiverse worlds. He goes into that like caveman world, and he's around a fire. He doesn't remember how long he's been lost. When he comes back and he sees his mom all fucked up, he just loses it. Fight continues. He starts fucking pounding Angstrom because Angstrom's about to, pause. Angstrom's about to kill him. Then Mark starts beating the fuck out of him, covered in blood, like head to toe. He's red, dripping Angstrom blood. And then he kind of realizes, like, oh, fuck, I killed him. He's like, I thought you were stronger. And like, he realizes, oh no, I'm becoming my dad. I swore off killing. I just killed. He's like very much, and he's lost still. He can't get back. You cut to the ship. Alan, our guy, Alan the alien, gives Omni-Man a message like to start the jailbreak. That was a big moment too. So like getting the Mark emotional moment was like, oh, fuck this kid. He's fucked up for life. And then you see Alan the alien and you're like, oh, Alan, what a guy.
There is something when you hear Seth Rogen's voice, it does like bring you back to like a happier, older time when he was in all those fucking funny movies. Like, oh, it's Alan. He's back.
Oh, it's our friend Seth.
Yeah, everything's good. Everything's good now. After watching Mark emotionally weigh like the balance of his soul, basically, and then we just get Seth Rogen, and maybe get a Seth Rogen laughing. You're like, oh, everything is fine. Everything is great.
Crazy fight though. I go back and forth on like part of me wishes they didn't kill Angstrom because I like Sterling K. Brown and I like this character and he was cool. We didn't get enough of him, but like it is a really good moment for the season 2 finale to kind of mirror season 1 a little bit with the way Omni-Man was standing over Mark, beating the fuck out of him and stuff. And, this sets up all of season 3 pretty much.
Now, Mark, obviously the thing with his dad is there a part of him that's also like, am I now evil Mark like the other Infinity Marks?
Probably, yeah.
I'm sure that's going.
Am I going to fulfill that prophecy? Yeah.
Yeah, and he basically Angstrom basically he turned him into that essentially in a fucked up, crazy way. So it is very interesting how that. And then also
Mark turned Angstrom into Angstrom. So
yeah,
it was the chicken or the egg.
Whoa. The fact that Oliver only exists in this one dimension as well is very interesting. And now I'm like, does that make him less sus or does that make him more sus? Because then what if Mark stays good and then Oliver becomes the Mark of the evil, son of Omni-Man who, wants to take out the entire species?
Or is he like the Anya Taylor-Joy of Dune where he's the baby and he's the real prophecy? Mark's going to be the bad one.
Lisan Al-Gaib versus that's a good question. We are crossing a lot of heavy duty fucking, and we're keeping it at ground level though. That's what the basement does. We don't dive too deep into this because we'll get lost. At least I'll get lost.
And speaking of lost, Mark is still lost until an older Guardians team comes to save him. They're like 20 years older. Eve in this universe says that Mark's universe, Eve has feelings for him. So she's like, either shit or get off the pot, basically. Either tell her you got feelings or let her go live her life. You're messing around with her right now. Also, Robot in this one takes off his fucking robot as Rex. And Mark is like, what the fuck is Rex? Good moment. And they, get him back to his mom and brother. He visits him at the Pentagon, same black eye. He breaks down in her arms. They did the little Monster Girl robot talk, some immortal stuff to end the episode, some Egyptian stuff, which was weird. I don't know what we're going to get out of that. Very Moon Knight-ish, the scarab and whatnot. The montage was very good with Omni-Man and Mark, their old footage, and when Mark is still in that makeshift suit and shit. And Debbie and Mark talk on the roof. He can't tell Eve how he really feels. He almost does it on the bridge, but he holds back at the last minute. And then this season ends on Omni-Man admitting to Alan that he's got empathy. He's developed some human empathy. So he's against the Viltrumites again.
I miss my wife. He misses his wife after
Yeah.
all that.
Yep.
That was a twist. I loved when the older Guardians came back to save him. I love
That was
like
good.
shit like that, and you can just tell they've like been through all the battles through Time War. We'll probably see
Because
that.
yeah,
with,
in their world, Mark was lost forever, and things went very bad.
yeah. So we're going to be dealing with that with Cable coming back for the X-Men, right?
Very
So
similar. Yeah, it's like
it is fucked too with Invincible. It's like when the big dog like Marvel has already been diving into the multiversal shit, and then the X-Men are now doing it as well. I can understand why it's a lot, but it's like whatever. It's a coincidence. It is what it is. They might do it better than anyone. That's the thing. It's just like with the boys. If they do it better than the established names that I know, I'm fine saying they are the champions. The boys was number one in my mind, I think, going into this, right?
Yep.
We said this year, I think the boys, Deadpool, and Deadpool's going to be another big multiverse.
Yep.
Oh my God. Me and Bob are living in the
it's-
multiverse.
We are. At least Deadpool is like the whole movie takes place in a different multiverse. Like at least it's a different concept where it's not like, we're still in our universe and we're getting a little piece of this multiverse and this one and this one and this one. At least they're like, all right, this whole movie is just in another one. Enjoy.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
That's
have fun with that.
a little separation from what we've gotten.
Can hashtag my multiversal basement? Could that be the hashtag for the week?
It's a long one, but fuck it.
One.
If you made it all the way to the end, hashtag my multiversal basement. There you go. It's your hashtag and spell check for this week.
Yes, exactly. I really want Mark and Eve to get together, but it sounds like is he like why does he want to tell her? Is that going to fuck shit up if he tells her?
I think he's just nervous. Yeah, that he's becoming something that he's not in the right space for a relationship right now. He's murdering. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a fair.
I also I want them to be together. I agree with you, but there is part of me, and they've built it in a very smart way. I like Amber, and I like Mark and Amber, and I'm like, she was very understanding of the superhero life, but you know what? Probably not best. He probably should be with another superhero.
So I would compare it to like. I'm not comparing us to superheroes. I am not doing that. Maybe I should, but I'm not going to. It's like we are with women that understand what it's like to be with a barstool person. They're making us dress like idiots for a fucking House of the Dragon thing, and they're like, "Oh yeah, how to buy paper plates so Robbie can become the crab master or whatever."
Yep.
However, if you were dating someone that works at Barstool, it would be like, oh no, I know why we're doing this. You have the constant fear of Dave always, lingering over all that. So it's like you could we have great versions of it now, and then we could have someone who really knows. I'm not saying it's better or worse. It would just be different. And but I hope they get together. But I'm sure at some point that'll probably I'm gonna call it now. I haven't read the comic books. Mark and her get together. She dies. That's what makes Mark become evil. That's what snaps this Mark. And it's the worst thing to ever happen in this universe is that Mark has someone he doesn't want to lose like Adam.
It'd be pretty good. But I don't want to lose Adam Eve either. So
me either. I don't want to be right. Yeah. I'm cursed with this knowledge. I called like an infant sus. I did it with a dead dog. Yep. I know I fucked up, but I'm doing it again. Who cares?
All right. That was the Invincible Season 2 recap. We'll be back next week to talk X-Men. We'll talk other stuff as well. I'm going to Vegas, not right after this, but I'm going to Vegas tomorrow morning for UFC 300. So maybe I'll tell some stories from that. And we'll have the boys sooner than later. Before you know it, it's going to be the boys wrapping right around.
Yep. One last note. I was going to float to you live on the pod. I've got a few tweets about it. I got a few DMs. Do you want to do a Fallout recap?
Oh, yeah. So I was never a Fallout guy. I never played the Fallout video games. I think I downloaded the demo for a couple of them when that was a big thing. You could download free demos and stuff. But I think the show looks sick. It's Jonathan Nolan, who wrote half of The Dark Knight. So, yeah, I'm in on that. Walton Goggins. I'll check out Fallout. But I also think they dropped everything at once. So we'll have to pace ourselves.
So that's the thing. They did drop it all once. I've seen the reviews online have been awesome. And enough people have asked, hey, you guys are going to cover on the basement. And again, I've never played the games. I'm like you. I have no clue what the fuck the games are about. I see the fucking nuclear stuff and the guy with smiling with the thumbs up.
Yeah, I know that guy.
What the fuck this means?
Nuke Boy, I think they call him. Yeah.
Yes. However, I also never had watched or played The Last of Us, and it became one of my favorite TV shows. So I'm going to go in blind. I watched the first episode this morning, getting ready for the pod in case you had seen it yet. And I got to say, this has potential. So
okay,
cool.
I'll check it out. Yeah.
Download it for the plane ride if you have to. Get it, get it set. It's on Prime for the people that are listening. It's on Prime. They dropped all 8. There's 8 episodes. The first one was like an hour and a half. If that's the case, it's going to take a little while to get us caught up. I actually have a fucking NBA team that's getting to the playoffs. I have, parent things. Robbie's fucking flying he has UFC every other weekend. They're having fucking huge cards. But we will potentially do a Fallout recap, maybe end of April or something like that. But one episode in, I'm like, I could see the potential here, kind of like with the beginning of Last of Us.
Awesome. I'm excited now. I'll download a couple episodes for the plane. All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We will talk to you guys next week.